All right, here we go. It's wintertime again. Are you prepared for your winter hikes? Are you sure you have all the essentials for trekking in the wintertime? For the experienced hiker and for the beginner, there's a lot to know. So let's go through some of that now. Well, this year seems like winter is coming to get us, doesn't it? But, we're going hiking anyway. It's really the most peaceful time of the year to be in the wild because the snow dampens the sounds and all the noises to almost an eerie kind of quiet. And the scenery can be stunning with the contrast of the pure whiteness of the snow against pretty much anything else. And getting out there to enjoy this just takes a little bit more preparation than, say, it does in the summertime. Now, I've heard it said that there is no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing choices. Well, that's mostly true, and there's more to it than just having the right clothes. When it comes to winter hiking, being well prepared is crucial for both safety and enjoyment. It's also easy to get caught up in the excitement of exploring new trails and taking on the breathtaking winter scenery. But not bringing the right gear can quickly turn a fun day into a dangerous day. Winter hiking presents a unique set of challenges that can catch even the most experienced hikers off guard. So if you're an experienced winter hiker, just use this video as kind of a refresher. If you're just beginning to look into winter hiking experiences, then this should give you some great foundational information. Now, I grew up in Upper Michigan on the shores of Lake Superior, where we get upwards of 25 to maybe 40 feet of snow every winter, with frequently below zero temperatures. Now, as an adult, I lived in North Dakota for 10 years. We affectionately called that place the frozen tundra. It was often too cold to even snow. I also lived 4 years in Wyoming. It's a little bit more mild there, but a lot more windy, which makes it feel a lot colder. And now I've been in Colorado for 27 years, where I'm in southern Colorado, and it does occasionally get below zero here. And I'm just a short distance drive from all the Rocky Mountain beauty in the wintertime you could possibly imagine. And even with all that experience in colder places, it's still common for old man winter to toss me a zinger, right? Something that I'm not perfectly prepared to deal with. But in almost every place, the colder temperatures, maybe a little bit more icy terrain, sometimes unpredictable weather changes, maybe even an avalanche danger. And of course, we have limited daylight hours. All this requires a bit more planning that is unique to this time of year. It's easy to see that these kinds of conditions require specialized and or additional gear and clothing. It's clear that winter hiking deserves some special considerations. Another hurdle is the difficulty in navigating because trails can be a little bit difficult to find. In places without snow, leaves will often cover and hide the trail. In places where there is snow, the trail isn't as easy to find as in the summertime, and with a little bit of wind, the trail can drift over pretty quickly, meaning that you won't be able to backtrack very easily. Winter hiking is also more physically demanding because we are carrying and wearing more weight. And if you're snowshoeing, you will burn off multiple times the calories compared to the summer hiking. But it's a great workout to prepare for your planned summer hiking. And winter hiking often requires a higher level of technical skill due to the icy conditions and that you can't see what's underneath the snow. Now, we don't have time in this video to cover everything I just mentioned so far in a lot of detail, but let's go through a few essentials. Let's go ahead and start with clothing. Of course, we already know that insulation layers are key to controlling body temperature and protecting you from the elements, right? No matter what time of year, no matter where you're at. Winter is just a bit more, right? A good set of thermal underwear, maybe fleece layers, down jackets, maybe an outer shell, will all keep you warm and dry, even in the worst extreme conditions. Let's look through some clothes that I have and may consider for winter hiking. I just want to show you kind of a collection of what I have, and then what I mix and match depending on whatever the circumstances are. So, base layer. I always have kind of a wicking base layer. This is, I don't know, just an old gym shirt, really. Even a long sleeve shirt, which is typically what I think I would probably wear in the wintertime, but This is a merino wool. There's a lot of talk about these mesh layers as base layers, keeping you warm. I don't have one of those, but the reports out there are pretty good that they are a great insulation layer. So if you get a chance to look at some mesh clothes, check that out. So anyway, a base layer, something that's wicking or just kind of an undershirt type of thing, and that's pretty typical. So on top of that, I would want to have some kind of insulation. Yeah, so this is a wool sweater that I could put. This is really super warm. I got this in the military like 1,000 years ago when I was in the Air Force, and this thing is super warm. Sometimes I wear it around the house just on really cold winter days. And this is like a little furnace. So little wool layer. This is a little bit see-through, so it's not like super thick, but it's very warm. So this would be an option. This one is a little bit. This one actually is a little bit warmer. This is a polypropylene fleece kind of a sweater here. It fits a little tight, but it's really warm. So you want to just find, some kind of insulation layer that you want to put above your base layer. So those are two options. Another one here is another wool. This is an alpaca wool, and this happens to be a hoodie. But this is very warm. This is this is a thicker version. And this was from a Paca company. I'll put some information about all this stuff down below. But this is very warm. I'll wear this kind of like on a mild day with maybe a light jacket on top of it. That's what I typically use this for. Okay, so there's a base layer, then there's an insulation layer. Then on top of that, I'm going to start putting on some jackets, right? This is for reasonably mild temperatures. This is something I would wear even in the summertime, just over a shirt. But if I have an insulation layer on the bottom and this over the top, it does pretty good if it's if it's a mild winter day. Sometimes I'll just wear this with a little hoodie and I'm good to go. This is a Patagonia jacket. It's a little Patagonia puffy thing. This is it's a synthetic insulation, but it's been really good for me. I've had a version of this for probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, more than that, probably close to like 8 years. But I really like this thing. It's really light and it keeps me warm enough in mild temperatures. All right, so that's my light jacket. This is a shell jacket. If it's like super windy outside, this will keep the wind off me. It's also a pretty decent rain jacket. This is made out of Gore-Tex. I just had this for a long. This is a Foray OR Outdoor Research Foray jacket. And has a hood on it. I've used this quite a bit over the years. Again, this is a piece of clothing that I've had for probably, like 8 years or something. So yeah, this has been around a long time. I don't use it very often, but when I do, it comes in really handy. It's very nice. So on really cold, wintry days, I have this. It's a Columbia Omni Heat Columbia titanium jacket. So this thing has like a reflective kind of material inside, so it reflects the heat back to your body, keeps you really warm. This is down on the bottom here, and then it's a synthetic insulation on the top, and it has a really nice hoodie on it. This thing is like an inferno, and it also serves pretty well as a shell jacket. I've worn this a few times up above tree line in Colorado in the wintertime, so you know that this is a pretty durable, warm jacket. I've worn this in mild temperatures, and I just had to take it off because I just was sweating like almost instantly, and I think it has a lot to do with this reflective material here. So there's a lot of jackets like this out there, but I guess the point of this is a nice down jacket that's rated pretty high for some pretty extreme temperatures is what you want to take with you if you're going to go in some really cold temperatures. You'll also want to get one that goes a little bit below your hips. This one is a little bit longer than some of my other jackets, and it fits down pretty low. And this is the kind of thing you want just to keep the heat inside your body. Have it pretty long. Anyway, this is for an extreme cold weather kind of jacket. There you go. All right, so let's go down below the waist, right? So in the wintertime, let's start with if it's going to be pretty chilly, I'm going to have some kind of long underwear on. This is a medium weight. I don't even know who makes this thing. Polar Tech. Polar Tech makes this. I think I bought this at REI years ago. But it's just a light to medium weight long johns that it takes the edge off. It with extreme cold weather, this is probably not what I'm going to take with me. But on relatively mild winter days, this adds a nice layer underneath my pants. So the pants that I typically wear in the wintertime are a little bit thicker than my hiking pants that I'm going to wear during the summer. So these are pretty heavy duty stuffs. These are Fall Ravens. Again, it's a pricey brand. One thing I like about Fall Raven is we have a local store here, but even if you don't, you can mail it in. If ever you get a rip or a tear or any kind of damage to this thing, take it in. They'll repair it for free. Pretty awesome. I was out playing with my hatchet one day, and I put a little rip up my knee here. I took it into the store, and she did a little darning on here and patched it right up for me. I have another small little hole on the backside here that I'm going to have to get fixed. Probably this summer. I'm not really in a big hurry for it, but really durable pants, pretty warm, pretty thick. Fall Raven makes some really good, high quality clothes, and so I really like this. You pay a good price for it, but it's worth it because of how they service you after the sale. So I really like these. If it's going to get a lot colder out there, I'm not going to wear my lightweight or medium weight long underwear here. I'm gonna go to my polypropylene. Um, Again, these are what I got in the military. You can buy these online still, or you can get them like at Army surplus stores or something. These are like wearing a furnace on your legs. They're really warm. I've worn these in some 0 degree temperatures or below that when I'm out hiking, and I don't get cold with these things. So these will last for a good cold temperatures. Whether you get this brand or not, you want to get something that's a little bit heavier weight. So I'll wear this when it's super cold out. And for those above tree line, really cold and windy, crazy Arctic kind of conditions, I will take these out. And these are made by Marmot. These are outer shell pants. And I've worn these a few times. You can even put suspenders on these things. But these, I only wear these when I know I'm going to be in like the worst wintry kind of conditions and I need to protect myself. These will definitely keep it cold out, and they're just super heavy. They're feels like a Gore-Tex kind of material, so it is waterproof, and even these zippers are waterproof. Really tough, durable zippers. So this is like, I think I've worn this like 2 or 3 times ever in my life, and I've had these for probably I don't know, maybe like 10 years. I've had these for a long time. I'll only use them a couple of times because they're only for those really, really extreme situations. So it came in really handy though when I need them. So there you go. That's my clothes. Now we know that footwear is crucial no matter what time of year. Our core will always be warmer than our extremities, and keeping a warm core will impact the temperature of our extremities. Our body's hypothermic response, that is, as we get colder, our body will begin to prioritize vital organs over other parts like our hands and our feet. So it's important in colder weather that we protect our hands and our feet. Now for our feet, insulated boots and socks, crampons or some other sort of traction, and possibly snowshoes will give you what you need to stay warm and comfortable and tackle those snowy conditions with confidence. Here's my footwear choices. The first thing, of course, you want to put on your feet is a good pair of socks. There is a tendency or a desire sometimes for people to want to put really thick socks on with their boots in the wintertime. Now, the issue with that is you don't want your feet to sweat. And so the more insulation you have, the bigger, thicker socks you have on your feet, the more likely it is your feet are going to sweat. But that sweat will eventually turn into, cold feet. So you want to stay away from making yourself sweat, whether it's your clothes or whether it's your feet or your hands. Stay away from the sweating. Control the temperature so you don't sweat. So a lighter pair of socks actually works pretty well with some well-insulated boots. Now, if your boots are not very well insulated, maybe a thicker sock would be the way to go. But for this purpose here, I'm going to suggest not the thickest sock, a little bit thinner sock. Once you get to camp or once you get to where you're going, if you want to change into drier socks, then you could always put on some thicker socks if you're just sitting around camp or sitting around a place where you're going to be, eating some lunch or just hanging out for a little bit. But while you're hiking, a thinner sock is okay in the wintertime. So that sucks. We're going to start off a little bit later here. So when I'm doing trails that are a little bit shorter, maybe for a few hours out there hiking, maybe in a busier place where there's going to be a lot of people, nothing out like way out in the deep woods, right? I'm gonna wear these. These are my oboes. They're quite a few years old. The tread's worn probably a little bit too much on them, so I'm probably gonna have to get a pair here again. But these are somewhat insulated. They're not super thick, but they are waterproof, and they're not really high cut, but they're kind of medium cut shoe. And these work pretty well in the wintertime for those short trips that are not really extreme cold trips. So that's what I use for that. And if I'm going to be in icy conditions, I'm going to want some traction on my feet. So these are a pair of micro spikes. For trails that are just a little bit icy or maybe a little bit slippery, maybe a pair of yak tracks is enough. And that's just, they're kind of like this, except they're just wound wire. So they're not like deep traction for a lot of thick ice, but they're good for traction on some relatively easy trails that don't have like a lot of ice. But I use these most of the time. These are micro spikes, as you can see that they have some pretty good spikes here. They're probably at least a 1/4 inch long. These are a little bit longer, probably like 3/8 inch longer, and these will really dig into the ice and keep you from slipping. There's a lot of trails I go on where it's pretty thick ice, and I need to dig in a little bit to get my traction. So these come in really handy. You just wrap them around your boot and wear them like that. And another thing I'll wear is ankle gaiters. These are actually leg gaiters, not just your ankle. But they go around your bottom of your heel, and they strap up. These are just Velcro up to the side, and then you clip them on the top. And then what these will do is they'll keep the snow out of your boot. And snow on a warm foot is going to melt. It's going to make your feet wet. You don't want wet feet. These come in super handy if you're going to be walking into really a lot of snow or snow that might come over the top of your shoe. And if nothing else, it'll help keep the heat in your boot. So, leg gaiters. On colder hikes, especially if I'm going to be camping out, I really like my mucklucks. Now these are old Army issue ones, Air Force issued ones. They have a wool liner inside that keep your feet really super warm. I wear a pretty light sock with these. And then if I'm sitting around camp, these are really nice because they're pretty airy. They don't fit real snug, and that's great for keeping in the heat, especially with those liners in there. And then these wrap up. These are almost like the leg gaiters. They come up pretty high. Now there's other brands out there, of course, that are not military issue kind of things, but they do the same type of thing. They don't have a lot of traction, at least not on these. But they're great for walking around snow if you're going to go out there and be collecting firewood or just walking around camp. If there's a lot of snow on the trail, these are great. These are great. Love them. Now for alpine level, I'm gonna take out my mountaineering. These are Scarpas. These are serious, Italian-made alpine kind of boots. And these are probably the warmest ones I have. My Muckalucks are running a close second, but these are waterproof. They're very well insulated. I've had these above tree line quite a bit, and my feet have never gotten cold in these. And I've been above tree line quite a few times. These are actually my second pair. My first pair I wore out. But these are super nice. And one thing I'll wear with these, if there's a lot of snow and a lot of wind, and I'm up there above tree line, the chances of them, of the wind, making your feet cold is pretty high. So I will have these, they're called boot gloves. And they go over the top of your boot like this. They're one of these polypropylene kind of things, and it's like another layer of insulation that you wear on top of your boot. Now, one thing with these is that you don't hike with these on because the strap under here will wear out like almost instantly. So these are what you would put like if you were skiing, cross-country skiing or downhill skiing even, and maybe with your snowshoes. Or maybe you can even wear these with your micro spikes because your micro spikes are going to take on the impact here. So, but this is a nice. It'll keep your feet dry, and it'll keep the wind off them. It'll keep your feet warmer. The dry part is what I like the most because in a lot of these shoes, even if they're waterproof, they tend to soak in, or they will have, a little bit of water on top of them, and that will make your feet cold. With these on, your feet never get wet, so the chances of your feet getting cold are pretty slim. I really like these boot gloves. There's that. So those are the few different kind of boots that I would have out there. Let's look at some snowshoes. These are some older pairs. These are Yukon Charlies. I don't know how old these are. Probably like 12 years old, maybe a lot. You can see how pretty worn out they are. These are a little bit smaller footprint. You can get ones that are even smaller than this. If you're in really deep snow, or if you're going on a big incline, these are not great for that. But if you're going to be on a trail with a little bit of snow, these will work really good. Now for deeper snow, I have my tubs. These are 25-inch tubs, Alpine XLs. These work really good in a lot of deep snow, and they also have these heel lifters on the back here that allow me to go up some really steep inclines. So these are great for Alpine, great for deep snow. As our feet need additional consideration, so does our head and our hands. A well-insulated hat to keep the heat in and the wind out is important. Gloves and or mittens will help you keep all your fingers. And a scarf, balaclava, or something to cover your neck does a lot to keep the heat from escaping your core and therefore keeping your entire body warm. Frostbite is very common to the nose, ears, and fingers due to the hypothermic response that our body has that I mentioned earlier. Since I suspect you'll want to keep those parts, you want to protect them, right? Again, here's what I have. All right, so let's talk about hands and head a little bit. What kind of gear you would want to put on for that. So you want to have a nice insulated hat. I like hats that go over my ears or pretty close to covering all of my ears. Just because, that's one of the first things that could get frostbitten if you don't care for it really well. Here's one particular hat that does pretty well. It gets over most of my ears. This one definitely does. I just pull it down as far as I want to. So this is a nice knitted hat. For really extreme cold, this is a flyer's helmet, I guess is what it's called. But this goes right over your ears and it clips down underneath your chin, and it keeps your whole face really warm. So this is a great option. To me, it's a little goofy, but I'd rather be goofy than frostbitten. So look for hats that will cover your ears. Another option is a balaclava. I'm going to put this on, mess my hair up. This not only covers your head and your ears, but also covers most of your face. It still allows you to breathe, but the only thing that's left open here is this little slot. And if you have goggles, This will fit right over this slot here, and you have no skin showing. So balaclavas are a great way to go if you need to cover all of your skin. Notice it goes down over your neck as well. And this will keep the heat in because you're going to be buckled up. So all the heat stays in your core. Your ears, face are covered. This is a great thing if it's really cold and really windy. And these are things that are really warm, so just know that. And there's different configurations you can have for this too. Say you get too warm, you could always wear it just like a hat. So it works like that as well. So this is a kind of a multi-purpose kind of a hat that can serve a lot of different purposes. So balaclava, not a bad deal. So say it's pretty mild outside, you don't need all that covering. You can wear a simple hat, and then you can also put on a neck gaiter. What a neck gaiter is going to do is it's going to keep all the heat from, inside your jacket on your core from escaping. It'll block the heat right in. It'll keep your core nice and warm. And it's amazing how these little neck gaiters will keep your entire body warm. So I always like to go hiking with one of these stuffed in my pack somewhere, and if nothing else, you could use it as a handkerchief to blow your nose. So that's your head. There's a lot of heat that escapes through your head and through your core here if you don't bundle all this up. So do that. It'll keep your entire body warm. Okay, so let's talk about the hands. My hands get cold fast. And so I always have a pair of gloves with me. Even in the summertime, I'll pack like a small pair of gloves with me. But in the wintertime, I gotta get serious about this. I use these quite a bit. The thing about gloves is that you need to have them fit a little bit loose, because if they're tight, they are going to keep the blood from circulating in your fingers, and your hands might actually be colder with the gloves on as opposed to with them off. So whenever you buy gloves, I always recommend buying them a little bit bigger than what you think you need. You want a lot of space in there. You want to feel that they're a little bit airy. Similarly, I have these battery operated ones that are hand warmers. There's a battery in here. You turn them on. Oh well, this is batteries are probably dead. Yeah, but you turn these on, and there's heaters all over. These are great for liners. If it's super cold outside and your hands get cold like mine do, it's really nice to have these electric gloves on. Now, these batteries don't last very long, so you're going to have to take probably at least one more set with these and keep the batteries in your pocket to keep them warm. But if you need that extra heat, this is not a bad way to go. But you can use these as liners inside of nice mittens, as long as your mittens are big enough and your fingers are not too cramped in here. These will keep your fingers really warm. So these electric ones, if you have conditions like I do with my fingers, this is really helpful. I have another pair of gloves here. These are a little bit thicker and a little bit more wind resistant, a little bit tougher than my other ones, but there's a lot of air in here. You can also wear liners with these, but I like these actually without the liners because they keep my hands warmer. So these are really nice. These are outdoor research. If it's cold outside, you're going to see me wearing mittens. Mittens will always keep my hands warmer than gloves will ever keep them. Only because there's very little blood flow restriction in mittens. These are I've had these above a tree line when it's been super windy, like 50 below zero, no liners. These marmots I think they're called expeditions or something. I'll put it down below, but these are down-filled. There's leather on the hand here. There's some windproof material on the outside, some nylon. My hands are good. It's getting hot. They're starting to sweat just by having these on right now. And but get a good pair of mittens. Again, oversize them a little bit to make sure you have plenty of room to move your fingers around inside. But mittens are better for cold weather than what gloves are. It's a little bit pricey, but I tell you what, I would have abandoned a lot of my winter trips if I did not have these with me. So There you go. Keep your hands warm, keep your head warm. Now, it's almost impossible for me to talk about what you're going to bring on any hiking trip and leave out the 10 essentials. Now, just because you're bringing all this other stuff you need for winter does not mean you don't need the 10 essentials. I would say the 10 essentials are even more critical in the wintertime. Think fire starters to keep you warm should you become stranded overnight. A shelter will keep you out of the harsh conditions. Water will keep you hydrated, which your body absolutely needs to regulate your body temperature. And a headlamp if you're running late on winter days. Remember, we have fewer daylight hours during this time of year. I have a link to the 10 essentials below. Go ahead and check that out. And we can't talk about winter hiking without talking about hypothermia and frostbite. One of the most crucial tips for winter hiking safety is knowing how to recognize the signs of hypothermia and frostbite. These can have a very quick onset and can creep up on you before you even realize that you're in trouble. Hypothermia can cause confusion and drowsiness and loss of coordination. Frostbite can lead to numbness, tingling, and even permanent damage to your skin and limbs. Even in the most serious cases, amputation. When I'm above tree line in Colorado, for instance, in the wintertime, I dress to ensure that I have no exposed skin. The winds can blow you over, and the wind chills can get like 50 below or even colder. Exposed skin at those temperatures can freeze within seconds. Now, knowing how to recognize hypothermia, understanding the threat of frostbite, and knowing what steps to take to prevent them is absolutely vital for staying safe in the wintertime out there on the trail. I have a video with more detail about hypothermia down below. Go check that out. Another key aspect of winter hiking safety is being aware of your own physical limitations and knowing when to turn back. It's always better to err on the side of caution and stay safe than to push on and risk a really bad ending to the day. Hiking with a buddy will help you check each other. We can't always see ourselves as others see us. For instance, one of the signs of hypothermia is slurred speech, which most people do not hear themselves doing when they are hypothermic. Another person can pick that up right away and help you get your body temperature up to where it should be. So keep an eye on each other and make important decisions together. And of course, letting someone know your itinerary can be a lifesaver in case something goes wrong. Leaving a map or a schedule with someone is a great way to help rescuers find you quickly in emergency situations. And sending a check-in message with your GPS communicator is helpful too. Do this even when you're hiking with a partner. Okay, so to recap, the key essentials for winter hiking are necessarily different than three-season hiking. Due to more extreme weather conditions and safety concerns, you want to take a few extra steps. By packing the right gear and being aware of the unique challenges in winter hiking, you can stay safe and enjoy this breathtaking beauty of all the winter wilderness can offer. Well, thanks for watching. If you have any winter hiking stories or tips to share, please let us know down below. I'd like to get a good conversation going. Now, go live like you want it. I'll see you on the trail. Hey, this is David on Earth. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. And go to the website for some deals on gear. All right, see you on the trail.
Very good.